Remember when I used to look at films with professional wrestlers in them and not summer-based movie foods? Well, I'm back at it. Let's take a look at WWE Studios' first decent movie, Bending the Rules with Edge.
You think you know me?
On this day, I see clearly everything has come to life. A better place in a broken dream, and we'll leave it all behind. On this day, it's so real to me. Everything has come to life.
You think you know me? You think you know me? You think you know me?
There's no doubt in my mind that Edge is a deserved WWE Hall of Famer and legend of professional wrestling. However, I don't feel that he has the mass crossover appeal as, say, Dwayne Johnson, or Steve Austin, or Hulk Hogan. So here's a little about his career in case you're unfamiliar with his work. For those of you who aren't wrestling fans and might be watching, here's an insanely concise look at Edge's career. He was a member of The Brood, a wrestling vampire stable, along with his fake brother Christian and the leader Gangrel, a group that's more legendary for their awesome theme music and entrance than actual wrestling impact. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Edge and Christian would move on from being vampires to wreak awesomeness amongst the WWF Tag Team division. They feuded with the Hardy Boys in ladder matches and the Dudleys in table matches. During this time, Edge and Christian would start to use a move called the Concerto, which involved them sandwiching a guy's head between two chairs. Because of this, the feuds ultimately ended up with all three teams culminating in the first ever tables, ladders, and chairs match. Other notable career highlights include being the master of the 5-second pose, becoming the king of the ring, feuding with Booker T over a Japanese shampoo commercial, winning Money in the Bank, and having a live sex celebration on Raw. He also speared Mick Foley through a flaming table at WrestleMania 22. After WrestleMania 27, Edge decided to retire after receiving doctor recommendation. If you really want to learn more about him, check his Wikipedia page or either career retrospective DVD. Both are available on Netflix for instant streaming. Now, how is he as an unconventional New Orleans cop? Let's take a closer look. We open up with a shot of New Orleans that transitions into Bourbon Street and then into a bar as some people dance to the most generic rock music ever. I would like to thank whoever chose this opening music, as it's not the typical New Orleans stereotype of jazz or Zydeco playing at this nightclub, but that said, they could have chose some more non-generic sounding music. We then see Officer Blades wandering around an empty Bourbon Street. As a local, I feel like this movie's supposed to be set around sometime after Mardi Gras looking at the dirty streets, but also, Bourbon Street's never that empty, so what the hell are they going for? Remember the Hobbit lover from Clerks 2? The guy who argued with Randall which was better, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars? Well, I hope you enjoyed him there, because he's in this quite a bit. He plays Gil, a small-time criminal and Edge's informant. Gil is being chased down the street by a hitman, and Blades takes it amongst himself to trip Gil so he can see what he's up to. After Officer Blades is done being a douchebag, we see that Gil is running away from a hitman, and Edge stops the hitman and clarifies what time of year this movie takes place in.
We're in New Orleans, and it's July. Does it get itchy? Sweaty?
Well, that answers that, considering the latest Mardi Gras can occur as the first week of March, and Officer Blades does ask the hitman a valid question, as anyone who spent time in New Orleans really knows how hot it can be during the summers. Moving along, Edge threatens the gunman with, I shit you not, a hug, and the gunman bails. He was after the newspaper that the Hobbit lover dropped on the ground. Edge makes Gil tag along with him to court because he's late for his trial, and he also has Gil arrested for something or other. So Officer Blades is on trial for his corruption, for his unconventional methods, and guess who WWE Films got to play the prosecutor for the state?
We call it the thin blue line, the police. The fragile barrier between the bad guys and you.
Jamie Kennedy? What, was Dane Cook too good enough for you, WWE Studios? Edge ignores Jamie Kennedy's rambling and notices a pattern in the newspaper. Court breaks for the sake of plot convenience, and we see a series of misunfortunate events for Mr. Theo Gold. He goes to lunch with his wife for his birthday, where she tells him she wants a divorce. He also gets passed over for the district attorney job that he so eagerly wanted. Sucks to be him, doesn't it? So Theo Gold is having a bit of a bad day, and don't worry, I'm not playing that stupid song. Oh yeah, they voted for a mistrial too in Officer Blades' case.
The jury is deadlocked. I declare a mistrial.
Counsel, would you like to set the matter for retrial?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Oh man, not a shit was given in that line delivery. Come on, Jamie Kennedy, this movie isn't that bad. After all, you've been in much worse, like Son of the Mask. We find out Officer Blades can no longer protect and serve until Internal Affairs does their own investigation. And if you haven't noticed by now, I must address Officer Blades' unconventional attire. After all, did he borrow one of The Rock's $500 shirts? He also hands the other officer this code he was trying to figure out during court and goes to check up on the Hobbit lover. What follows is this, much to no one's surprise.
I need you a lot for an interview.
Not here.
Ha! Cops eating donuts? Who would have thunk? After Officer Blades finds out they're no longer holding his precious, we fast forward to later that night. Theo Gold leaves his office and some of New Orleans' finest harass the poor lawyer. What follows is, I'm sure, something many Hollywood producers, directors, and other actors have wanted to do to Jamie Kennedy. The NOPD pull over Mr. Gold and, well, shock the world.
Out of your freaking mind?
Not gonna lie, that was pretty awesome. New Orleans' finest did this as some sort of payback for Officer Blades' trial, and they call him up to inform him. And then we get a heart-to-heart moment between Officer Blades and Mr. Gold. Keep in mind, we're about 20 minutes into this, and this is our two main characters' first discussion with each other.
Can't believe your mom's Lena Valois. I've seen Tomorrow Again like 50 times.
That's what he wants to ask? Not, what are you doing on the side of the road? Okay, let's see where this is going.
You got lucky, Detective. It won't happen again.
Always been lucky.
Today's my birthday.
I hope it's the best one ever.
That scene right there is the most emotional I'll ever get in a WWE film. I mean, come on, give Edge an Academy Award for this movie. Now, you might be wondering, over 20 minutes into the film, where is the story? And look, it's just showing up right now. After his night of dealing with the douchebag law enforcement, Theo Gold drives up to his home in the daytime. That's quite a bit of a time difference, WWE films. And then he notices his favorite car is no longer in the garage. So Mr. Gold calls the police department to declare that his car has been stolen. And what exactly are they doing?
This asshole must be having the worst day of his life. He just called in a report that someone stole his car out of his driveway.
No, stop. Now you just trying to hurt me.
Where's it at?
How should I know?
Wait, you don't think we stole his car, huh?
So let me get this straight. You think that question's out of the line even though you're at the office and showing the footage of giving Theo Gold the shock treatment? Come on! What follows is we continue to see Theo Gold have possibly one of the worst couple of days of his life, as whoever's stolen his car is taken out for a spin in front of his home. Well, he sees his car. Clearly he's gonna go after it. What's the fastest method of transportation? Maybe his own car? Oh, come on, are they trying to play this for laughs? Because that was just really sad. Luckily for Mr. Gold, an officer is in his neighborhood, but doesn't do anything to stop the guy who's driving around in his stolen car. But he does offer him a ride to the police station. Meanwhile, the code from Gil's newspaper has been deciphered, and it has something to do with license plate numbers. And one of that license plate numbers is Mr. Gold's stolen car. Dun dun dun! Officer Blades goes to look for Gil and check more into this license plate number situation. But, really, the most important thing, at the police station, we see Theo Gold get harassed even more from our local NOPD, and this time it's via means of the pun.
I've been waiting over an hour.
I understand you've had a joke, Mr. Gold. So no need to get all charged up. We're having a busy morning here. So as soon as we can unplug an officer from another matter, we'll be with you.
Oh, that was terrible. And it's not like it stops because even the lieutenant gets in on it.
You know, Mr. Gold, despite the fact that you've been trying to put one of my best cops in jail, I find this conversation scintillating. You, in fact, may describe it as electrifying.
Well, at least the puns are over. Let's see what Edge is up to.
I'm Detective Nick Blades, New Orleans Police.
You're the one on TV.
That's me. Parents home?
No.
They at work?
No.
I give up. Where are they?
Dead.
I gotta say, the exchange between Edge and this little girl is pretty priceless. Let's see it continue.
Is that your grandma's car in the driveway?
Yeah.
Then who's Dean Nickerson?
My brother.
So he owns the car.
Yeah.
Is he home?
No.
Where's he?
Jail.
Does he get out soon?
My grandma says it depends if his jury's as dumb as yours.
Look at Edge's facial reaction there. He's like, oh shit, a 9-year-old just got me. Officer Blades moves on to search for his pal Gil. When he arrives at his destination, he stumbles across some elderly gentlemen playing cards, and a hitman who's also looking for the Hobbit lover. So I've got nothing. Let's see where this goes.
Who might you be?
Detective Nick Blades.
Police.
What are you, an idiot? He just said that.
I've never heard of you. Let's see it.
How about that? A drop toe hold. Didn't see that one coming. The old guys and Officer Blades beat up the hitman, and we find out this bit of information.
Where's the little creep?
After he robbed 400 off me, he didn't leave no forwarding address.
You seen him with this guy?
No.
What's a boy into these days?
You think he tells me? All I know is, last time I saw him, it was okay.
Sorry, Officer Blades, but your Hobbit lover is in another castle. Then we get to catch up with Theo Gold giving a fuck ton of exposition to this really cute redhead in a scene I'm fairly certain will have no real bearing on the film's plot either way. Or maybe it does, but it's at this point the film becomes a little more serious.
Calm down. I will not calm down. We were leaving the doctor's office, and suddenly he insisted we come to your house, and when you weren't here, he got very upset and locked himself in your room with a gun.
Yep, Theo Gold's dad wants to commit suicide. If Jamie Kennedy were your son, I think you would contemplate that as well. Okay, that was harsh. And to be honest, some of the best acted scenes in this movie are indeed involving Herb Gold, played by Philip Baker Hall. The parts where Mr. Gold thinks Officer Blades is his dead brother and when he's talking to his son are fantastically done and rather touching. Anyone who's had a parent or grandparent who's had Alzheimer's or dementia can relate. The problem is, why the hell is this the method that Officer Blades and Theo Gold start to team up together to find his car? They couldn't have thought of something a little less serious for this movie? That said, Philip Baker Hall is awesome, and they go and look for his car. Sexton Hardcastle and Randy from Scream drive along the streets of New Orleans. Blades tells Gold that his car and a bunch of others were part of a list while he found apprehending the Hobbit lover, but can't make a connection between any of the owners. They go to check out one of the names on the list, and I have to give this film credit. It is pretty surprising to see where they end up. Instead of the obvious stereotype of, say, a voodoo shop or a jazz club, they arrive at a martial arts dojo looking for Edward Mackey. Mackey quickly bails to the back while he gets his students to distract Edge. You know the old saying, never mention a better movie in your own film? WWE Studios must not have gotten that message.
You ever see that scene in Indiana Jones where he watches some badass guy with a big sword do his thing and then shoots him? In this situation, I'm Indy.
No, Edge, you're not Indy. In fact, you're not even close. Indeed, he is no Indiana Jones when he gets tripped up by a small child and then uses the child as a human shield for his means of escape. I can't root for Edge using a child as a shield. What a big pussy. Meanwhile, in the parking lot, a meter maid uses a stun gun on Mackey and then throws him in his car's trunk. And then, for good measure, he even shoots him twice. Even this movie is aware you should always double tap. Officer Blades checks out Mackey's car and finds nothing. But then we have one of those moments where it feels like you're watching an entirely different movie when a group of thugs kidnaps Officer Blades and Theo Gold. You might be wondering how the hell did that group of thugs know where Officer Blades and Theo Gold were? And if you aren't, you are now. Because I sure as hell am.
You hungry? The donuts here are excellent.
Another donut joke? You gotta be kidding me. It turns out Officer Blades knows the bakery shop's owner. His name is Happy. Happy is the one behind the two hitmen going after Gil because he was trying to prevent the Hobbit lover from delivering a list with the license plate numbers. In case you were wondering how everything's connected in this film, allow Happy to explain.
The newspaper was a delivery from Willie Van Bieber to a pro hitter, identity unknown. You know who Van Bieber is?
Big Shot 404. About to get the needle, right?
And take a guess who put Van Bieber on death row. They wind up at a barbecue restaurant looking for Gil's address, and we see more of Edge's unconventional antics.
Need an address on Gil Ott.
I don't know no Gil. I know Phil. Go by Little Philly. And I do know me a Bill.
As one can imagine, Officer Blades is well prepared for this situation.
Theodore,
Assume for a moment that most of the people in this place are on parole, probation, or otherwise in the system. How long do you think it would take for me to find out that one of them is in possession of a gun, resulting in their immediate and protracted incarceration?
It works.
Fat D didn't even tell you what guilt is.
Talk to me. Thanks, Fatty. I owe you.
Some filler happens like Officer Blades goes to get food again and talk to an informant. He also plays some golf with Theo Gold before finally stopping in to check in on his precious. Filmmaking 101 says when all else fails, pad your movie with the same scene and little to no new information each time you include it, because really, you have to beat your audience over the head till they finally understand what's going on. Blades goes deep into the hobbit hole where he discovers Gil. He tries to get him to give him a contact name, but Gil refuses. After Edge insults the place, the missus puts a gun to his head, and now Blades is the one in trouble. That is, of course, until Theo Gold bends the rules, if you will, and uses a bit unconventional methods of his own. Of course they don't work, and Gil runs away. So we go to Theo's parents' house for his birthday, where nothing of importance happens. That is until one important phone call.
Detective Blades, it's Rosalind Wall.
Yes?
Who is that? Is that Rosalind?
I'm listening.
You want me to talk to her?
What do I get?
He says he'll give you the guy who's killing all the people on the list.
Oh, look at that! The cute redhead's back in this film. But I have a feeling Officer Blades shouldn't trust her, because as we all know, gingers have no souls.
Where's the paper, Blades?
Happy Connors took it.
Happy Connors, bullshit. Give me the goddamn paper.
He doesn't have it, Gil. Happy Connors has it. And you don't really need it anyway. Hands up in your head!
You see what I mean?
So Van Bieber's your dad, yes?
Technically for about another week or so. Then he's gonna be my dead dad.
Alright, we're close to the end, boys and girls. Let's wrap this one up. Blades' lady officer friend shoots Rosalind, and a giant gunfight ensues between the various gangs. After all the shootings, Rosalind points a gun at Theo Gold, and Officer Blades shoots her down. Well, with the film so close to being wrapped up, you might be wondering where Theo Gold's car is. And I gotta say, it's kinda surprising what they did with this. They find it parked at a garage at some fancy pants hotel. Theo celebrates and they try to drive off, but not before the meter maid tries to kill both of them. Of course, the meter maid fails at his job and ends up offing himself.
Is he dead? Never stood a chance against the Hawk. Who is he? On Van Bieber's payroll, no doubt.
The movie ends with Officer Blades' internal investigation and Theo Gold dropping the case and giving him a little bit of backup.
That Detective Blades went out of his way not to mislead anyone about his status. He never flipped his badge, right? Never brandished his gun. Never once, in your presence, identified himself as a police officer.
Technically, no. But he did order a lot of donuts.
Did the movie really need to end on yet another donut joke? Bending the rules is a lot of fun. I give it a mild recommendation, and it might be the best film from WWE Studios. Edge is okay in it, and there are some pretty good performances from other people like Philip Baker Hall, as I've previously mentioned. After all, this movie was at one point on IMDb rated a 9.8. This is the Piledriving critique where professional wrestling meets pop culture.
You think you know me, and when you think you know me.